Shay, you can go first.
Hey, Huhi. So I think it's fair to say that Team Liquid gave you a good run for your money. Arguably, probably one of the most difficult times you've had as a team so far with some split. I'm just wondering, what gave you guys a hard time? Was it the draft, or was it just, Team Liquid playing better than you expected?
Um, I mean, honestly, I think yes, it was like one of the our like I will say one of the sloppy game that we played despite the early lead we had. I think that comes from our our uncoordination, I guess, because we think we should have ruled that game at 20 minutes. But they were able to play the game because we were playing really sloppy. Like we didn't do our basics. We were playing kind of uncharacteristically, and we made a lot of mistakes. So I think we just gotta iron that out for our next two games this week.
Thank you. Pedro, you can, no, that's Shay. Does anybody else have a question? Please use your hand. Faisal?
Hello, Huhi. When people bring up the best supports in the LCS, they usually bring up people like Core JJ and Vulcan, but it seems like you're not mentioned in like the top three. Do you use that as drive to improve your play and like try to put yourself on their level, or do you feel like you're already there and people need to start recognizing that?
Um, I think obviously to myself, I think I know that I am one of the better support in the LCS, and even though people don't mention me, like it doesn't really matter because I know that I'm better than the other people in the LCS, and Vic thinks so as well. And yeah, I feel like those kind of perceptions or opinions of the fans are actually really hard to change once you solidify like perception of a player. It's actually really hard to change their opinion. So if a player had a good showing in the first and then have a good perception, it's really hard for that to even change to seem like that player is bad. They will always find kind of a way to defend. And I think it goes both ways. So I'm not really annoyed about like what their thought is. I'm just focusing on myself and improving.
Thank you. Dion, you can go.
Hey, brother. So there seems to be a perception that you all have a hard time closing games out. And as you said earlier in the earlier question, should have won in 20 minutes, or you all thought you should have won in 20 minutes. I think a lot of people did too. Tim Seven Houston's analytics thing was like, yeah, there's a barely 80% chance there's a comeback here. What seems to be a recurring issue for you all in closing out games when you have leads? Because you're great at getting leads.
I think it's because we have too much character in the game or on the team where I feel like there's a lot of decisions. So everyone wants to do their play because we are so far ahead. So instead of one trying to sacrifice and playing the game, and it's a lot easier to do it that way. Everyone wants to be I guess, the shining star, if I will say it in a bad way, or everyone will see the game differently. So I think sometimes like today's, and I think even last week we had kind of a game like this where there's a lot of opinions and we couldn't really come to one conclusion. And I think that's a problem that we're working on, and I think it will be fixed fairly soon.
Thank you. Shay, you
Thank
can
you.
go next. Sorry.
So you mentioned that you were playing sloppy at the moment, and I hope you had fun last night at the 100T party. Maybe that was a reason as to why the team wasn't really prepared and playing a little bit bad today.
Um, I mean, I think there is no way because I can confidently say that we're putting one of the most work of entire like LCS teams, or like we're at least top two in my opinion. We're putting a lot of work on it, and even yesterday, I think all the players just kind of hanged out on the party to see like what party they're throwing for like a 30 minute. We didn't even like drink alcohol or do anything. We just said hi to like our bosses and kind of came back to the house since we have a game tomorrow. So I think we're all kind of really professional about it. I kind of made a joke about it as my tweet today, but yeah, I don't think that actually affected.
Thank you. Any more questions? We have about 7 more minutes. Shay, you can go.
So back to the whole sloppiness thing. Obviously, many of you tweeted out saying, that's the main thing you guys need to work on. But is there anything else, that you think the team needs to work on? And if there's not, how are you going to work on, fixing the sloppiness that you've had today?
Obviously, sloppiness is one of the problems that we have where when we have a huge lead to kind of having trouble closing out the game, we have to fix that through like the communication we're having or like the how to view the game as a team properly, stuff like that. So I think that I have a trust in our coaching staff that they will help us out, which I think they are already doing it. And the other stuff are just kind of being consistent in your daily condition for the player. I think we have days that, for example, in our scrims, we have bad days where someone doesn't feel that good in that day, and we are not having that productive of a scrim block. And I think that will make our improvements slower. So I think that's also a thing that we're working on as a team, where we want to make everything consistent, and that will keep up our performance on game days.
Shay, you have another question? You can go for it if you.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you're on social media, but Upcomer actually rated 100 Thieves as top 8 in the world in the global standings. I'm not sure if you saw that, but it did get a lot of hate. I just want to know your general thoughts on that. Do you think that 100 Thieves is generally top 8 in the world?
I think that's really hard to say because even we don't know where we stand in the world, and that's why we desperately wants to make it to the worlds, especially me and FBI, just to see where we're at as a bot lane duo, because we're really confident in the bot lane in the LCS, but he always wanted to play versus like the best bot laners like Ruler, Gala, or like any LPL and LCK players. I think I would love that too, just to have that experience and see like what kind of things they can provide. Because when I watch their laning phase compared to LCS laning phase, I think they do a lot of things really like differently and better. So yeah, I think until then, it's really hard to say like we're better than other world team and stuff like that.
Degon, you can go next.
You touched on a little bit earlier on the coaching staff. How is it working with Reaper? Because it feels like he puts together some of these crazy drafts, and it allows, we've already talked about Karma mid, but then we got to, see the evolution of Dage. How is it working with Reaper, and how does that work with your guys' champ pool and composition flexibility?
I think it's been going pretty well. I think it goes both way, where like the players are confident to pull out champions that we don't really practice that much in scrims, and we're trying to be a little more creative, because that's what Reaper wants us to do as well, where he doesn't want to be restricted in champ selects, and also kind of encourage our creativeness. So I think it gives us more confidence and empower in draft to see like what matchup do I actually want to play, and what kind of things I can pull off on stage. So I think we're both doing well on that side.
Oh, thank you. Faisal, you can go next.
Hello again. Today it was the first game of 11.13, and the new item Anathema's Chains was added, and we saw Core JJ build it, but you didn't. I was just wondering, what was your reason behind it, and what's your general idea of the item and how it affects the meta?
I think the item is actually pretty good. It gives you a lots of HP and like lots of like extra like tenacity reducing stuff and stuff like that. I actually forgot that that was a thing playing this game, unluckily. So I kind of built Zonia first item, which I never did in scrims before, but I just did it because enemy had like a lot of AD damage, and Leona does fairly do quite AP damage with Zonya can save me like a bit in the team fights. But after that, I think I was actually trying to build it on the third item, but before I finished my third item, the game was over. So I was wondering if I could like pull it off like before my second item, but I was definitely like forgetting about the item. It's definitely strong.
Okay, we have about a minute and a half if anyone else wants to ask a last question. Okay, that wraps, that's the end of our scrim. Thank you, Huhi, for answering our questions. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye, guys.